Um, good evening, colleagues. I hope that we all had a wonderful Saturday. So this evening, allow me to introduce Chief Superintendent of Customs, AA Goni. So he will be our lead discussant on pre-arrival assessment report. So Chief Goni brings a wealth of expertise and competencies to our discussion this evening. So he has possessed a profound understanding of pre-arrival assessment report. He has a track record of working there and being one of the pioneers of that program. So I want all of us to sit back, relax, as we enjoy the excellent delivery. So in addition, I want to also introduce Chief Superintendent of Customs, Ibrahim AY, that will be anchoring the event this evening. So I also advise all of us to diversify our reading, because broad knowledge in this dynamic situation, usually our exams now is such dynamic that we need broad knowledge as a foundation of our success. So Chief Superintendent of Customs, AA Goni, the mic is yours.
Thank you, CSC Umar SD. Good evening, all. Today I'm going to take us on pre-arrival assessment report. I want to share the screen with you people. Please, can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. As the name implies, PAAR is pre-arrival assessment report. It's a document issued by Nigeria Customs Service as an advisory to the traders and importers of goods into the country. The pre-arrival assessment report is issued before the arrival of the consignments. At least once the consignments or the goods has been purchased by the importer from the country of origin, he is expected to open Form M. Before he do that, he needs to open Form M. In the process of opening the Form M, he has to apply for the Form M through his bank for the purpose of Forex. And still is the PAAR ruling center that will register his Form M to show that the goods is allowed to come into the country. If the good is not allowed, if the good is CV, this Form M will not be accepted by the Nigeria Customs Service. Once the good has been purchased by the importer, it's expected that he should send his final documents to the PAAR ruling center, so that his PAAR can be processed and be generated before the arrival of the goods. So let's go and see the introduction of the PAAR ruling center. The Nigerian Customs Service has developed a pre-arrival assessment report generating system to enhance trade facilitation with importers and to access goods imported into Nigeria. The system will help users to perform assessment of goods imported by classifying and valuing them to generate PAAR for analyzing risks involved during the import procedure to proceed for final clearance of goods. So apart from the revenue generation, the PAAR is also a document issued for trade facilitation. And then it's also for risk assessment of the goods, both the goods as well as the importers of the goods. So why PAAR? What's the need for PAAR in import clearance? Increasing trade volumes and expectation for faster clearance support the use of risk-based models to enable custom administration to 1. Facilitate legitimate trade, 2. Maximize revenue collection, promote the culture of compliance, and then to ensure security and safety of the people. All this through the PAAR process, the customs administration can achieve these 4 points. But the main points is for the security, the revenue generation, and the trade facilitation. Then from there, we move to the procedure before the shipment of goods. You know, as I said earlier, what is expected from the importer is before he purchases goods, he needs to get his pro forma invoice, which is the quotation from the supplier, to take it to the bank, his bank, to raise Form M. He needs some cap certificate. If the good required NAFDAC, you need NAFDAC certificate.
Sir, maybe you repeat yourself. We could not hear you earlier.
Hello?
Can you repeat yourself from the procedure before the shipment of goods?
Okay. Sorry. As I said earlier, before the shipment of the goods, the importer needs to open Form M. And for doing that, he needs his pro forma invoice with regulatory certificate and his insurance certificate. The regulatory certificate depends on the type of good he's bringing into the country. If it is NAFDAC regulated, he needs his NAFDAC. If it is drugs, chemical, and foods, he needs his NAFDAC. If it is other items like electronics, motor vehicles, he needs SONCAP. And if it is maybe like what can we say, like bulk item, maybe like something like animals or like plants, he needs his national quarantine services certificates. So it all depends on the nature of the good that he is bringing. So with that, with his PFI, pro forma invoice, with his regulatory certificate and insurance certificate, he can now apply for his Form M through his bank, the bank that he is operating, the one that he will use in paying the duty after the arrival of the goods. So if he opens his Form M, the bank will fill all his information he provided on the pro forma invoice. They apply to customs, to the PAAR ruling center. Then the PAAR ruling center will look at the pro forma invoice with his regulatory certificate and insurance certificate. And if those goods is okay, then they can allow it, they can register the Form M. They will look at the parameters on the Form M and the parameters on the pro forma invoice and check the regulatory certificate. If they're in conformity, then they can allow him to, they can register his Form M, then they can allow him for the importation of his goods, for the purchase of his goods. Then from the slide here, we can see there are 3 stakeholders here: the customs, the ADB, and the importer. Then the importer ensures that the supplier provides the PFI, as I said earlier, according to the predefined standards. Then ensure all documents forwarded to the authorized dealer bank are in line, are genuine and verifiable. Then the ADB will complete Form M application, attach all supporting documents. Those supporting documents are the insurance certificate and the regulatory certificates. Then they will send it to the bank. Then the bank will ensure Form M application is duly completed and all documents provided are carried out. Proper know your customer, that's KYC. Verify the Form M application to either validate or reject where necessary. they receive. If they validate, it will go to the customs. Then customs will carry out the preliminary review on the Form M application, attach document to accept or reject within 1 day. If it is okay, they accepted the Form M. If it is not, they will reject. If they rejected, it will go back to the bank. Then the bank will inform the importer that your Form M has been rejected with so reason, so that he can take effect of the reason for the rejection, and then he can resubmit back. So that's how the process is at the Form M stage. So hope I'm clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then that's the procedure before the shipment. Then we have the procedure for and after the shipment of the goods. Before, we say we have 3 stakeholders involved. That's the customs, the bank, and the importer. Now we have 4. The customs, the banks, the supplier, and the shipping lines. Once the Form M has been accepted and registered by the customs, now the supplier can now make available set of CCVO, invoice, packing list, and any other documents, and send it to the bank, to the importer's bank. Then the importer bank will scan the documents on the system for PAAR issuance. Then they will send it to customs. Customs will now register the PAAR within 5 working days, not later than 5 working days, in case of shipment by sea, or 2 working days by shipment by air or land. Cargo manifest to the customs. Then overview of the ruling center, that's of the PAAR ruling center, how the PAAR ruling center is look like. We have the harmonized system, we have the custom valuation, we have digital documentation system, we have intelligent reporting system, then we have the database. The features of the software of the PAAR ruling center. The software is basically developed to facilitate custom clearance by generating PAAR. The software contains the following features: digitalization of import documentation, that is, upload preliminary document by commercial bank, what we said earlier. Then upload final declaration document by commercial bank, that's for PAAR. For PAAR, the uploading of the preliminary document, that's for the Form M. Then final declaration document by commercial bank, that's for the PAAR. The approval declaring of preliminary document, approval declaring of the final documents. Then we have the expert tariff classification tool, all on this PAAR system. Then we have the assessment of custom value. We have the import-export commodity database. Then there is intelligent risk configuration for risk selectivity triggers by RPO. Then we have the PAAR generating by PAAR for assessment of risks. Then we have the SMS alert integration system, whereby once the PAAR or the Form M has been registered or rejected, then we have an SMS that the system will send to the importer and the bank through their email, through their text messages. Then calculation of duty payable, all is embedded in the system. Confirmation of transaction value by the supplier. Flagging up of high-risk commodities. Fast tracking of trusted traders. Then we have integration with central bank data system through web service to retrieve Form M. Then we have the assessment of tariff classification. That's all in the PAAR system. Nigeria, as a signatory to WCO International Convention on the Harmonized Commodity Description and Coding System, must underpin the application of the HS. The software provides standard format for classifying goods as basis for custom tariff. The CET concordance has been linked to the software for easy navigation and accurate classification. Once you inserted the either 2 or 3, 2 or 4 of the 2, whether the chapter or the heading level heading codes, it will pop up for you to make it easy for classification of goods on the system. Then the user can be guided by the system on how to classify its product as well as other relevant information like whether the item is prohibited. The system will flag off if the item is prohibited based on the HS code provided. Then we have also the custom value on the system. We have the software for that. The software provides the support base for valuation risk assessment in strict compliance with WTO agreement on custom valuation. Then common sensitive for valuation angle identified reviewed as a vital factor, accurate assessment of duties, prevention of capital flight, capturing of correct. All this one is embedded in the PAAR ruling center system. Then the PAAR, the valuation method in PAAR is based on the SEV rule, the principle of custom valuation. That's using the 6 methods or the several articles of the valuation of the SEV. Then the valuation database. The import-export commodity database module serves as a risk assessment tool. The valuation database is designed in accordance with the WCO. Sorry, you can't hear me?
We can hear you.
Like some people say they can't hear. Can I go ahead?
Please go ahead. I think it's just the one.
People say they don't hear.
We can hear you.
Then custom assessment value for previous importations. That is, if you want to compare with the previous importation of other importers or same importer. Then the method of valuation applied, whether it's transaction value or computed value method. Then data found import declaration and supporting document of previous importation, including country of origin. Then other pertinent and reliable data for risk assessment purpose, such as international trends, quality, quantity, HS code, etc. Then we also on the system, we also have intelligent reporting. Intelligent reporting is becoming an important part of clearance procedure, particularly with the current security challenges in the country. Intelligence supplied by CIO, system audit, SSS, NIA, shipping companies, etc. can assist us in identifying problematic shipments in order to screen containers. The software has an inbuilt mechanism. Suspect that shipment may contain undeclared prohibited goods and use of fraudulent documentation. So the system has all these parameters that once you suspect, you can put your intelligence so that it can give those at the field an insight that this is what is suspected from the declaration so that they can take proper measure. Then this is the intelligent pools, how it is shared. The intelligent database shared with the custom area commands as well as the other agencies of governments. Then we have the user communities. Then the user community is roles performed by the PAAR ruling center officers. We have about 5 or 6. We have about 6 units in the PAAR ruling center. These units are the scrutiny officers, then the final document verification officer, the VCO, valuation classification officer, the risk profiling officer, risk assessment officer, system audit unit, ICT logistics support unit, the help desk, and then the physical inspection teams. That's at the seaport. Then we are going to look at the responsibilities of the stakeholders. That's taken from the bank, what they do, what role they played in order for PAAR to be registered or for PAAR to be produced for the importers. So the responsibility of the bank is they are the master user of the administration. They create, they perform preliminary check on documents. They upload scanned copies of the documents. That is document that's the import document at the preliminary stage, that at the Form M stage or at the PAAR registration stage. Provide clarification where required. then printing of pre-arrival report to the importers. Then this is their workflow of the commercial of the ADBs. Start, perform check, then upload preliminary document, check if it is done. If no, reject. They will return it back to the importer. Then if yes, they will send it to the PAAR ruling center for NCS for PAAR system. Then that's how it ends. Then this their screen. That's how they upload the documents one after the other. They scan it and upload it on the system so that our PAAR ruling center can view it and then compare with what is captured on the system. Then from there we have the scrutiny officers, which is the SO level, those that responsible for the registration of Form M. Once the bank validates the Form M, they are the one that will check the Form M, check the pro forma invoice, check the insurance certificate, check the regulatory certificate. If it is okay, they register it. If not, they will return it back, they reject it, so that with reason for the rejection, then the bank can now tell the importer this is the reason why the Form M has been rejected. Then the importer can take the necessary correction and resend it through the same bank. Then the bank will now send it back. So that's how the process is. The responsibility of scrutiny officers are thorough vetting, checking the physical content and completeness of the preliminary documents. That's the Form M, PFI, insurance certificate. Data entry, capturing of all fresh and submitted Form Ms to the PAAR system. Ensure compliance with regulatory requirements, NAFDAC, SONCAP, NESRIA, etc. Perform quality control in accordance with NCS quality assurance policy. Then any other duty that may be assigned. So this is the primary function of the scrutiny officer. Then we have the final document verification officer. If the SO, the scrutiny officer, did not do his work, there's no way the other units can do their own work, because importation starts with Form M. Once the Form M is not registered, the final documents and PAAR cannot be registered. The importer cannot get his PAAR without Form M. So this is one stage. After the Form M has been registered, now the bank can now tell the importer that now you can send your final documents. Your exporter can send it to you, or they can send it to us, so that we can now upload the final documents for PAAR to be registered. So the verification officer is the one that is responsible for the first task in PAAR registration. One of his responsibilities is processing final documents by examining the completeness and accuracy of the documents submitted following the initial receipt and processing of Form M and its supporting documents. So data entry, capturing of final documents, bill of lading, final invoice, CCV or packing list, etc. into the PAAR system. Ensure compliance with regulatory certificate. Sorry, please. Ensure compliance with regulatory requirements such as manufacturer certificate, phytosanitary certificate, certificate of analysis. They have to make sure that all those certificates are attached on the PAAR platform. Then perform quality control in accordance with NCS quality assurance policy. Any other duty may be assigned. So this is the primary responsibility of the FDVO officer. So then we have the evaluation and classification officer, whose responsibility is to make sure that the good has been properly classified and it has been properly valued in accordance with the ACV, in accordance with the agreement on custom valuation methods. That's the six methods. So the responsibility of the DCO are to perform price analysis and price verification of consignments. The responsibility is to ensure that all final document transactions are appropriately classified according to the Harmon system code. Perform custom valuation using the import-export commodity database in compliance with the WTO agreement on custom valuation. Where there is reason to suspect the shipment, for example, consignment of goods under declaration, he or she then record intelligent remarks. So once there is a suspicion, or once you make an adjustment of the price, or the importer did not classify the goods well, that means sure that the documentation is faulty. At the end of the assessment, you have to put your intelligent remarks to show that whether suspect on the declaration, false documentation, whether there's concealment, or even if the goods, if there is even contraband or prohibited goods concealed in the container, maybe based on the weight of the item in comparison to the comparison of the weight and the document and the item in question that you are valuing. So perform quality control in accordance with NCS quality assurance policies. Then the risk assessment report. They recheck for what the other unit has done. Starting from the FDVO, what the FDVO has done, is it right? The documentation, have they followed the due process of attaching all the document required? Or is what the valuation did, is the classification okay? Is the value he give, is it okay? If he make an adjustment, the evidence he used, is it in line with the ACV? So what is expected that the PAAR should have at least an advanced knowledge of the valuation and classification, as well as documentation of the PAAR processes. Then we have the risk profiling officers. Their task is configuring to update the risk selectivity criteria and triggers. They will also use the system to build historical views and query the importers and commodities of interest. This officer will continue to seek out fractions related to just importers evading payment of revenue, whether by misdescription or misclassification, undervaluation, misdeclaration of origin to achieve preferential duty rates. So they also amend. If there is any amendment after PAAR registration, there is a problem, maybe with wrong classification, overvaluation. The important thing that is value is good has been overvalued, so they can do protest. Then the PAAR center can now review it. So it's the risk profiling officer that will do those amendments. Then we have the ICT logistic officers, who deals with the to check how the systems, the database, the maintenance of the system, all the working tools in the PAAR ruling centers, whether they are the one that oversee all those peripherals. Then we have the help desk. The help desk serves as an intermediary between the PAAR ruling center and then the banks or the importers, because they are the one that if there's any query or if their consignments have been delayed, have not been registered, or if their format have not been registered, the bank can consult them, contact them, then they are the one that will forward it to the PAAR ruling center so that the issue can be resolved. And they are the one that deal with protests. They collect protests from bank on behalf of the importers, and then they will submit it to the PAAR ruling center. Then, so that's all what is all about. Thank you very much for your attention. If there's any question, suggestion, additions, please.
Thank you very much, CSC AA Goni. You have actually given us a whole lot of rundown on this very important topic. I do know very well there are always questions that will come out regarding the PAAR ruling center, and you have sincerely done justice to it by first and foremost trying to establish the fact that it is a documentary process, a documentary formalities customs processes. You have also made us to understand that it is done before the arrival of the consignment, and you went further to also define how it is being done. You have also told us the processes involved, starting from establishing the Form M, moving to the receiving of the final documents, down to the issuance of PAAR. These are things that we must actually understand to be able to answer the exam questions. You have not also relented in telling us the different units in the PAAR ruling center, where you say we have the SO, we have the FDVO, we have the VCO, we have the PARO, we have the ICT, we have the help desk. You have been able to tell us different units that actually made up the ruling center. You did not only stop there, you also went further to tell us the different functions of each of these units in the ruling center. Which unit performs what? Which unit deals with Form M registration? Which unit handles the final document verification? Which unit does evaluate the classification? Which unit does perform, certain functions that are being carried out at the ruling center? And you also made us to understand that even stakeholders have their responsibility within the ruling center, where you say the banks have their responsibility, the custom itself has its own responsibility, in terms of valuing the item, in terms of classifying the item. And you also made us to understand the importance of this PAAR in respect to clearance of consignment at the port. So we have to say thank you very much, and we expect people to ask questions. If there are specific exam questions that you have, please don't hesitate to ask. The floor is now open for people to ask questions. I could see Bala Mustafa's hand up. I could also see Amina. You can go ahead and start talking. If I hear you.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bala.
Our able colleague, CSC Goni, thank you very much for your presentation. My questions goes like this. You made mention that importation starts with Form M. Am I right?
Yes.
But on the procedural code, if you check if you go through the SGD, column 37, which is the procedural code, when a procedural code is carrying 4,000, that indicates that on the procedural code, it indicates that an importation is about to be done for home use, entry for home use. But when it is carrying 4,100, it is indicating entry for home use of used goods, which most importers to evade the Form M in a situation where it is supposed to be 4,000 and it's carrying 4,100. Does it still requires Form M? Because I have seen importers who manipulate on the procedural code 4,000 instead of 4,100 instead of 4,000 as their procedural code.
If you see an SGD with 41,000,
yes, sir,
it doesn't require PAAR.
Very good.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
It's an importation that doesn't require PAAR. But from M purpose, the fifth number on the import guidelines say that once you are going to make an import, whether value is involved or not, you must open a Form M.
Okay.
That's for import guidelines. Okay. So it is expected that even if you are going to use for trade, you're supposed to have Form M for the purpose of Forex.
Okay.
You understand? But it doesn't mean that you must process for PAAR.
Okay.
Because once you put 4,000 on the SGD, automatically it requests for PAAR. But if you put 4,100, 4,100 is designed for those goods that does not require or does not go through the destination inspection. regime. So they are just goods that are excluded from destination inspection, which does not require PAAR.
It's okay. Thank you very much.
I hope I'm clear. Or Ibrahim, if you have anything to add.
Very clear, sir.
No, it's very clear. The import guideline, the instruction from the first paragraph of import guideline, it says anybody intending to import any physical goods into Nigeria shall in the first instance establish a Form M, whether or not payment is involved, whether or not, even if you are getting it free, whether you are paying duty or you're not paying duty, or you're paying for the items or you're not paying for the items, the instruction is you must open a Form M. What happened was that during the former service providers, certain items were being taken care by NCS. You understand? But it doesn't mean that the rules say you should not open Form M. If there's an issue now and it results to litigation, the first thing they will ask is, where is the Form M? Because regulations in Nigeria says for every importation coming into this country, it must be covered by a Form M. And that no shipping line should even go ahead and make that importation when they don't see the Form M reference number. That no bank should proceed with that documentation when there is no Form M number. But along the line, we do something else. I understand what you're saying. In reality, you go to the field, you see some of those things without Form M. But for example, purpose, they cannot be asking you those things that are not actually in accordance with the law. So if such a question comes up, the answer must be that you have to have a Form M. You must have a Form M if there's a question relating to, because that is what the law says. If we are doing something else in the field, we don't have any document that says we can allow Form M we can allow shipment without Form M. But we have a document that says you shouldn't allow importation without Form M. I don't know if that's clear.
Thank you, sir.
Please go ahead and ask your question. Amina.
Aminu.
Aminu.
Yes, good evening. Let me first of all appreciate the effort of the organizers of this wonderful package of lecture. Mine is, I'm going to add to the question that was asked previously. It is not only the procedure code 400 that 4100, sorry, that does not require documentation like Form M and PAAR. If you can see, there are other declarations like 4900, which requires documentation after release, that's provisional release. And then there are declarations like reimportation after export for repairs or for return in the same state. So it all depends on the nature of the transactions. Then my questions are, one, in the presentation, maybe it is an oversight. The lecturer, the presenter, sorry, have not informed us on those that are responsible for those that powers the software of which PAAR is being carried out. Then my second question is, I would like to know the validity of a PAAR before it is being tagged unutilized from the day of issuance. Thank you.
Hello?
Yes, we're listening. I'm done. I have asked 2 questions and I have I submit, sir. Hello?
Goni, did you hear the question? Goni? Okay, it's like it's having issue with it.
Okay.
The first question
the first question is about the software, the platform of which, who developed it. Then the second one is about the validity of the PAAR before it is being tagged unutilized on the system. Exactly. For how long will it take before?
The first one, in respect to who developed the software, it's a whole lot of history. Maybe I should take you through. In the services of the service provider was supposed to terminate. The contract of the service providers was supposed to terminate in December. They had a 7-year contract to provide destination inspection, and that contract was supposed to terminate in December 2012.
Okay.
And up to February 2012, a committee was set up. A technical committee was by the CG to see how they can come up with a structure to take over from the service providers. The committee actually rolled out the processes that should be done. The committee actually developed the vanilla version of the software. There's what was called vanilla version of the software. Then the CG also contracted Techno Brainwaves Blue to help the committee and actually put the vanilla version on the internet, making it internet-based or so. Then that was around somehow close to December 2012 when we were supposed to take over. So 2012 first. 2012. Okay. It started in 2012 when we were supposed to take over. There was extension in 2013, extension for 6 months and extension for another 5 months. But this one I'm telling you actually started in 2012. So the Techno Brainwaves Blue team came actually all the way from India and some other part of the world to assist the committee in migrating or fully developing the vanilla version to a full-fledged online application. But until when the takeover date was due, the software that was developed had hitches. I mean, hitches were that they couldn't connect to NICES. NICES was a different software managed by Wayfountain. Then the vanilla version that was supposed to be developed, upgraded to online application, was handled by the technical committee made up of NCS officers, and the Techno Brainwaves Blue guys. So there were hitches down to January, February 2013. Then we saw an extension of the contract again by 6 months. And where the minister said that the contract of the service provider was extended by 6 months. Then down to even March, April, the technical hitches were not resolved. The technical hitches were not resolved, and there was another extension of another 5 months. And even within that period, there were parts being issues, but there were still teething problems. One of those problems was that with the technical team and the West Blue team couldn't pull E from M successfully. Sometimes they could pull, sometimes they couldn't pull. At the same time, they couldn't transmit to NICES for all declaration. Sometimes they could transmit, sometimes it was not transmitting, and you have to go to the back end to go and open the system and start doing some of those manipulations to get the declaration. To get the PAAR at the back end so that declaration can be lodged on them on NICES. So down to December, when the time was due for us to take over, when the time was due for us, the 5 months also elapsed. It was due for NCS to take over. The then CGC, in his own wisdom, decided to grant what was called pre-release period. Pre-release, yes, for 3 months, while the technical team were busy perfecting the software. But after realizing that the release time was elapsing, and the technical team couldn't really meet up certain things that needed to be done, it was suggested that Wayfountain, who were the owners of the Form M platform where the technical team was pulling, and who were also the owners of the NICES platform where the technical team was transmitting, because these were the major issues where the technical team was transmitting, should be brought on board to come and handle the problem, and that will now lead to a seamless So when Wayfontaine came, the best solution at that time was for the service to discard the other application and develop another application on Wayfontaine system. So Wayfontaine was brought in. I mean, we developed the same process that was used to develop the vanilla version was handed over to Wayfontaine, which they now use to develop the PAAR on their system. So Wayfontaine actually helped to develop the current PAAR we're using based on the prototype of the vanilla version, so as to have seamless pulling of the E from M from their system and a seamless transmission to NICEs for onward declaration. So as we speak, the system resides on the thread.gov.ng, which is a web-based platform managed by Wayfontaine. I don't know if that has answered that question.
Yes, thank you.
Then the second aspect of the question was, there were two questions.
He was asking whether what's the period PAAR will be tagged as abandoned or unutilized.
Yes, the standard period that you have to tag PAAR as unutilized is actually 3 months. It's standard, but it is at the discretion of the Controller General to also decide to allow people to grant certain a concession for people to still go on and make sure the validity of the pro forma invoice is around 3 months. So if the validity of your pro forma invoice officially is 3 months, it is expected that once the PAAR is ready within that 3 months, because the pro forma invoice is supposed to be a contract for the shipment to come. So it is expected that within that period, the PAAR must have been ready, the shipment must have been transported down to this country for you to load. But at the discretion of the Controller General can decide to say, okay, we are even giving them 6 months, we are giving them 1 year. Well, like the current revenue recovery that has to do with looking at unutilized PAAR, is looking at from 2022 down backward or something, 2022, 2021 down 2019. So that is the discussion of the city to say, okay, let's look at whoever has not utilized his PAAR from last year downward. We should be actually asked to utilize, or should be questioned as to why the PAAR is still pending on the system. But the standard period shouldn't have been more than 3 months, all things being equal. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I want to add something. Some people are saying that PAAR is being that PAAR document has expiry date. PAAR does not expire because there's no expiration date on the PAAR. Not like Form M. Form M has expiry date. 1 year, 2 years, depending on some of the design of the revalidation. But PAAR, there's no expiry date on PAAR. Thank you.
Next, I could see somebody raising his hand. Please, you can go ahead and talk so that we will know that your mic is functioning accordingly.
Thank you very much, Oga Ibrahim and Oga Goni, for the well package. My question is that, you see, the loss of revenue and a revenue collection began during the application of PAAR, because this is the first step in which the importer laid a solid foundation whether to obstruct or to divert any attempt. Let me explain. You see, in some cases, the agent usually submits push documents to the authorized dealer bank requesting for E-P-M. Are you with me, sir?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Okay. I said the agent usually submits forged document in some cases to the authorized dealer bank requesting for E-P-M. I want to know who are the officers in PAAR that are responsible for the checking of the description of the consignment, because there are cases whereby the POM-M will be opening with, for example, an item just written SCM. The PAAR will generate that the pro forma invoices, all the other documents will carry SCM. And in some, it's an oil well equipment. It is when during fiscal examination, officers were able to detect that SCM is a subsea control module. I want to know who are the officers in PAAR that are responsible for checking up all those descriptions of the cargo. Thank you, sir.
Goni, we're with you. Majoli? Okay, it's like it's still not.
Right.
Okay, I mean, there's no officer in the PAAR that is excluded from looking at description of the consignment. Right from the scrutiny officers, they are supposed to look at what is the item description. Once you cannot make sense from anything that says ACM or something, some kind of abbreviations, you are supposed to reject and ask for proper description. Down to FDVO, there's no officer that is excluded. Everybody in the PAAR ruling center is to ensure that the description is not only correct, but it's also in English language. It must be understood. However, these are issues of capacity, and I mean, these are things that are ongoing. I mean, building capacity is not something that can be done overnight. These are things that has to be continuously done. But it's a very fundamental observation. Maybe Goni will have to take it up and see how they could actually strengthen a capacity in those areas. But everybody in that place is supposed to be involved in making sure that whatever comes out of that place it can be understood by every other person, is clean, is clear, is detailed for every other officer's understanding. Maybe we'll have to take it. This issue of capacity is very clear, but I
think we'll look into it and then we'll take corrections. The FDVO and the other units SO, we'll take them into training on that. Make sure that all the actual description of goods are stated properly.
Exactly. Even the VCO, once you don't know what is PCM, you shouldn't classify what you don't know. You should be able to classify and even value those things that you know. You can't be valuing some kind number, some kind alphabet like that, and classifying some kind alphabet that don't really make sense to anybody. Even the PAAR itself, everybody must be carried along in doing some of those things. Next question, please.
Hello, good evening, please. Okay.
Where are with you?
Hello, good evening.
Yes, where are with you?
Yeah. Okay, SC Mogaji. Good evening, fellow colleagues. Good evening, fellow colleagues.
We're together.
Okay. Please, my question is, there's one of these past questions I saw of recent. It said, insurance on Form M is calculated based on transaction currency plus 110%, all of the above local currency.
Thank you. Goni, are you there?
It's breaking.
Okay, it said insurance on Form M is calculated based on transaction currency.
Local currency.
Okay, local currency. All right. Thank you.
The answer is local currency because our national legislation, if you look at our insurance policy in Nigeria, section 37 or thereabout, it says that you must enter into a local insurance with an insurance company in Nigeria. And if you are entering into a local insurance with an insurance company in Nigeria, then you cannot be entering into insurance with in a foreign currency. This is Nigeria. I don't know if you understand that. So if you go to insurance company in Nigeria, in Abuja, to enter into insurance policy with them, it has to be calculated in local currency, in Naira.
Okay.
So it is actually a local currency.
All right. Thank you so much.
Clear about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Next, somebody was trying to talk. Please go ahead. Is it John? I saw your hand up. Please go ahead. You can go ahead so that we'll round up. Joseph, I can see your hand up. He's not getting us. Anyone that wants to talk?
Anybody that wants to talk can unmute themselves and talk.
Any past question to look at?
Hello?
Yes, we're with you.
Yes, I said I wanted to say something as regards that PAAR question and general name concerning importation, but Oga AY and Oga Goni are this. But sometimes, when they put a general description of item on the PAAR, the bill laden and this thing also carry both the general description and the specific name. So people sometimes when they see the document, they tend to key on only the general description, neglecting this. For instance, the issue of that SMC is a general name. The people may use that, but if you check well inside their invoice or their bill lady, you'll find out that maybe that SMC is standing for seamless something, a general name. Sometimes it is the banker that key the document. They just use what is easy for them to enable them run the PAAR and upload in custom platform because they have several jobs lining up. So sometimes when you see a general name on the PAAR document, ask of the listing, the bill laden and the invoice. It will also give you a description of the item, except there is no clear description like that. Then you cannot question that document. So most times when you see a document pass through the PAAR platform, pass the FDVO, pass the VCO, PARO, sometimes it is not intentional that they do it, but because the import document like the invoice packingly carries the specific name as well as the general name, that is why it's scaled through like that.
Yes, good observation, but it's always good to actually make it also complete on the PAAR, because the person on the road might not be seeing those other documents. I mean, the PAAR itself is carrying HS code. I mean, it should be detailed. There's nothing wrong with making because everything on that PAAR is expected to have come from the invoice, from those bill of lading. So why not key in the complete? You can key in these other abbreviations in brackets. Or when you do the abbreviations, then you can put the detailed descriptions in brackets to be able to explain what those abbreviations are really talking about. Thank you very much, Jacob, for the
Thank you, sir.
We have Bimbo there trying to contribute. Please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and see how you can contribute. Bimbo is not. Go ahead, Bimbo. We cannot hear you. Or is it only me that cannot hear?
No, we cannot hear her.
Okay.
Please, last question, please, if I may ask before you go. Please, okay. When the PAAR is generated, where is it transmitted to? Which of the Web Fountain platform is it transmitted to? That is the web-based platform.
It is being transmitted to NICE.
NICE2 itself.
NICE, yes, to NICE2, so that it can, they once it is being transmitted to NICE, they can make, if they are going to make the lodgement of the SGD, the PAAR can pop up. They can attach the PAAR.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Emmanuel. Bimbo, you're still raising your hand, but we cannot hear you.
Maybe Bimbo did not know she's raising her hand.
Probably. So, in the absence of any other things, I wanted to actually add that in the new SEMA, I don't know if questions like that may come up. The new SEMA, they may ask what is our legal backing for it, for the PAAR itself. In the new SEMA, apart from that, we have import guideline. That PAAR you are seeing, everything about PAAR was actually developed from what is in import guideline. And import guideline is by extension part and parcel of foreign exchange miscellaneous acts of government. That is that. But again, if you look at the new Custom Act under Section 35, it says the service may render pre-arrival processes, examine documents and data relating to goods in the course of commercial operation involving the goods in order to ascertain the accuracy of the particulars contained in the goods declaration and other documents, information and data submitted to it. So this is part of actually our regulatory backing as to why we are doing what we are doing. So there are basically two things. The import guideline itself is there, which is part and parcel of the Foreign Exchange and Miscellaneous Act, and also the provision of SEMA that says the service can make regulations. So the same way we also develop the PAAR platform to actually render pre-arrival processing, and other document examination and other things that we are doing there. So I don't know, these are latest information that we might need to get. Is actually in Section 35A precisely, where we have additional control for release of goods. So it's part of actually pre-arrival processes. I think with this, and in the absence of any other question, we want to thank you very much, and we want to wish you, the timetable is out. This time around, we must focus on past questions. We must focus on actually practical things that are likely going to come up in the exams. They will ask you different units in the PAAR Ruling Center. They may ask different job descriptions of the different units in the PAAR Ruling Center. They may ask issues relating to the stakeholders involved in the PAAR Ruling Center. They might even ask things that have to do with the transmission of the PAAR once it is issued. So in reading, we should be able to actually focus more practically on things that are likely going to come out in the exams. People are raising their hands. You can go ahead and talk. You can go ahead and talk so that we know that you're actually, listening to us. Otherwise, I can see Usman Mohammed, hands up. I can see Ferdinand. I can see Rolling Stone. Okay, in the absence of any other... I
have one question. I have one question, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, please, because we are rounding up, this is a question that's been bothering me since. When you spoke about that SEMA, that new SEMA, since you are in this group, maybe when you finish the lecture, do you have like a summary of the new Custom Management Act, as in like a summary of an important sections? Like, I heard that the Section 9, the Section 8, the one that says that custom and police service power, all those kind of things, some changes, all those, I don't know whether you understand me, some basic changes. If you can have it, just send it to us in the group so that we can just read it over.
I think we can only send the SEMA, the complete SEMA.
I know there's a complete SEMA. I'm talking about like somebody that's done a summary of it or overview or some important things we need to know, changes.
Yes, there is important sections of the SEMA that has been in the hard copy book that's before the beginning of the SEMA. So I think that one will help. Where they say Section 8 has now become Section 6.
Yes, all those kind of things, yes.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, sir. Good evening. Well done, sir. Okay. I have one question to ask. I want to know the place of opening of letter of credit in the course of doing importation, because it's like none of you talk about it. So I want to know whether is it a must for importation processes or. Hello, sir.
Yes, we're with you.
I said I want to know the place of opening of letter of credit in the course of doing importation, because it's like none of you talk about it. So I want to know whether it is necessary.
Yes, we had the question. Goni, you going to say something about it?
Okay, on LP, letter of credit.
Yes.
The letter of credit, bills for collection, advance payment, there are all types of payment that the importers is a payment between the importer and the exporter, whether it's from his bank, whether it's between his. So there are all types of payments between the importer and the exporter.
Exactly. Okay. There are those payments mostly. I mean, these are things that have been carried out by the bank, the commercial bank themselves. What we use them in customs is we use them in our risk analysis and risk profiling to say if the consignment, for example, is an LC transaction, is likely going to be, kind of a low risk transaction. I mean, all things being equal, because it means that there is a guarantee of some of those things. Most LC transactions, if the documents are genuine, not doctored, we know that those transactions are actually the real transactions that have taken place. So we consider them as low risk transactions, as against other form of transactions. That's how we look at them from our end. But most of the documentation in respect of bills for letters of credit and all of that is done with the bank. Letters of credit is saying that bank is the one guaranteeing, the payment.
Okay.
You get the bank the one thing guaranteeing the other bank that we are taking charge of this payment on behalf of our customer. So that actually gives certain credibility to the certainty in the international payments system. So the same way we also look at it as a low risk shipment. There are also bills for collection. There are also other things to say when we get the bill we make the payment and all of those things and stuff like that. It doesn't really concern much of the PAAR ruling center, apart from the fact that they also use it in looking at the risks associated with that document.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah,
yes,
good evening,
ahead.
sir. Hello, sir.
Go ahead.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, sir. Please, I have a question that in regards to this PAAR. There is a question that have to do that they said in transaction involving foreign exchange, the assessed value on the PAAR should be the amount payable, where in assess remittance, such amount must be repatriated in how many months? I'm really confused in respect to this question, sir.
Ibrahim, answer in this round.
I saw the question too. The question was flying like that. I saw the question, and when I saw the question, I also tried to make the comment on the platform that they wrote our question. It is not possible. You and I know very well. It is not possible for any document to say that remittance should be based on assessed value on the PAAR. Assessed value, customs value, we say is the price actually paid or payable plus the adjustments. So are you telling me that if I'm adding all of those adjustments, even if you did not pay the supplier, policy or document should force the supplier to pay, to force the bank to pay the supplier what is not part of his money? It's not possible to say that the assessed value on the PAAR should be remitted to the supplier, because assessed value is actually for payment of customs duty. And in determining customs duty, a lot of things come to play. You might enjoy discounts that your bank will not pay, you will not pay the supplier, but customs will say, no, this discount is supposed to be part of a value for customs for duty collection. So does it mean that a policy should now come and force the bank to pay the supplier what is not supposed to pay? That is one. Two,
Some of the transactions that you see on PAAR will use identical transaction value, will use similar transaction value to adjust them. The fact that I use identical transaction value to adjust a transaction doesn't mean that that is what you are going to pay your supplier. So does it mean we should come up with a document, should now say that the bank must pay your supplier based on what PAAR has assessed when they are assessing based on identical transaction value, or when they are assessing based on the previous similar value? So we are now saying the bank must pay your supplier that amount of money. 2. Number 3, again, if you look at our PAAR,
PAAR we say it.
Some of the, if you look at our PAAR, some of the upliftments are arbitrary. Some of the upliftments cannot be justified by either omission or commission. And we even say the PAAR is advisory. Can you say payment, our money, our hard-earned dollars we get from oil money, we now use it to be remitting to people? I mean, that is not their money, is not part of the transaction. That is not part of what we negotiated for. That question was actually wrong. But what happened about that question is that there was a draft of import guideline that actually made mention of something like that. But when the stakeholders now looked at it, they now say, no, it's not possible to do that. Payment has to be exactly based on the invoice value. And they amended. Right now, if you look at the PAAR, I mean, the import guideline we have now, it is clearly amended to say all payments shall be remitted based on commercial invoice, or commercial/final invoice. So these are the means of payment. When you go to market, you buy something, they give you invoice. You are supposed to give them money that is written on the invoice. We cannot come and authorize the bank to begin to pay what customer has assessed the item. What if it is not what you agree with them? So that question is wrong, is obsolete, it cannot stand the test of time, it cannot be defended anyway. That question should be discarded.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Well, most time,
Thank you very
times
much.
in
God
an
bless you for that wonderful presentation, sir. Sir, please, can we have a copy of that presentation, probably on the platform? So
Yeah,
that one
we'll
can
send
go
it.
through.
We'll send it
most
after
time,
the lecture.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, sir.
most time in an exam scenario, it's questions like this you see. Questions like this you read on the systems. Someone is using his own initiative to set a question. So for you to answer such a question, you have to think like the person. And that is why you keep having some issues. For an instance, instead of a question for you to prosecute a case, you have to have a comprehensive case file. Someone might be telling you,
Question for exam is not supposed to be one person that will set it up. It's not supposed to. One person cannot set an exam and a question for exam. It's supposed to be a committee, at least 4 or 5 people. You understand? For each, maybe for each unit, if they are going to set a committee, so that once one person has brought up a question, another person can say, no, this is not supposed to be. So they understand, but one person cannot sit down at his own comfort zone and say that he's setting a exam question. He will put his interest, or he will just mislead people. You understand?
Thank you.
So, in the absence, I can see Felix Okodi. You can go ahead. Felix, your hands are up. Okay, I think it should be a mistake. So thank you very much for the participatory discussion. It's really very interacting. It's good we start from here, and I wish us, like SD used to say, 60 and above. But I wish we could get even more than that, because the way they are doing this kind of this thing, the way they did this thing last time, we were not happy. But we pray that this time around it's going to be better. Vacancies have to be expanded. People have to be allowed to be promoted, because some of us believe that the exam is not even the best way to test somebody's knowledge. Moreover, this promotion is based on the fact that we are doing a work. not in school. We are doing a work and we're supposed to be promoted based on our performance in the work and all of that. But we pray that this time around it's going to be better, and we wish you all the best in your examination. Thank you very much.
See you tomorrow night, same time.
Thank you. God bless you, Oga Goni. Thank you.